Hello Mainers, good morning. It's mid-morning here on this Friday, big storm day, so much on our plate. This will probably end up going down as the most impactful storm of the entire year perhaps, because it's not just one thing that we're focused on. It's everywhere from the coast all the way up through the mountains. Mountains getting wind and some heavy snow right now, eventually changing over to rain, and then a flash freeze tonight that's going to make it a skating rink. The coastline getting battered by an incoming high tide. We're going to have a lot of water that gets up on roads. Some roads may need to be closed down. This could be one of the biggest tides we've ever seen, and records go back to the early 1900s, might rival blizzard of 78's tide, which is pretty incredible. That's the standard, that's the gold star, that's the record one. And then everywhere in between, we've got wind and heavy rain to complicate things, and those rivers are going to be rising with the snow melt too through the weekend. So let's head over here. Quick look at the radar. Looks like we have a flood advisory now for the city of Portland. That's like an urban flood advisory because there's so much pavement in the Portland area. Runoff happens so quickly that the storm drains can't catch it. So you're going to end up with like big, huge areas of water, like at the bottom of hills, and at intersections that kind of go down a little bit. So that's a little advisory that just got popped from the Weather Service. We got flooding that's probably going on in the city of Portland now. The other thing that's complicating things is that the tide is coming in right now. So even if water does get into the storm drains, it does drain out into the harbor. It won't be able to get out into the harbor because the harbor's overflowing onto land. So we've got a double whammy going on right now. That causes big problems for sure. There's your rain snow line. It's way up in the higher elevations right now. Thankfully, getting about 6 inches in the mountains. So when we do flip to rain and do start to warm up a little bit, we aren't going to lose. The net won't be much of a loss at all as far as the snowpack goes. So here's your timeline. Heavy rain for the entire rest of the morning here. It will start to shift north though. Early afternoon, we're going to catch a little lull in the action as far as the rain goes. And then we'll get a second surge with the front later on this afternoon and evening. This is 5 o'clock right there. And we're looking at more downpours, perhaps a rumble of thunder too. This is going to be a powerful front as it passes. A couple of things with that front. The winds out ahead of it are out of the southeast. The winds behind it will be southwest and then eventually west. That southwest wind and west wind has a better chance to mix down stronger gusts from aloft, where we have like 70-mile-an-hour winds and even 80-mile-an-hour winds. So some of that, a little nook and cranny of it, could sneak down to the surface, and we could see some gusts over 70. It will also be a cold wind direction. Look what happens by 3 a.m. We're in the teens. That's what we call a flash freeze. Everything that hasn't dried out, and the wind will try to, because it's going to remain strong into the evening and into the night. The wind will try to dry out everything, but it won't succeed. So we're going to get a hard freeze on things. Your first step tomorrow morning might be super icy. Here's a look at the current gusts. Frequent ones over 40 miles per hour, almost the entire coastline. Augusta just gusted to 45 miles per hour. That's a little deceptive. I'd think that down in the city by the river, it's more like 36, mid-30s like Lewiston and Auburn are, because that anemometer is on top of the hill where the airport is in Augusta. So it's overlooking the city. It's elevated. You get stronger winds, just like the one in Greenville is. Look at that. Augusta 60 miles per hour up on Moosehead Lake. So expect these winds to keep cranking throughout the day. And they're coinciding with a tide, the high tide. This is also a huge problem. It's going to occur mid-morning, and then it will start to recede as we head into the afternoon. It's going to have a tough time receding because those winds are going to keep the water blowing at our coast. So even as it wants to go out, it will have a tough time, and it will stay extra high for an extra long period. The thing about this tide is it's an astronomically high one because of the new moon. We've got that against us. We are getting that onshore flow, and we're having super big waves. Check out these waves over here. These are the buoys that are out in the Gulf of Maine. The 20-foot wave right now, 20-foot swells from the Portland weather buoy. That's located off of Two Lights in Cape Elizabeth, a few miles out. I got some pictures. I have a friend that lives over in Cape Elizabeth and sent me some video of Kettle Cove, and it looks like a tempest in there right now. It's crazy. And you can see that there's 17, 16, 12, 13, 16, 17. the Gulf of Maine is super angry, and these waves may even grow a little bit more as the entire system moves through. So I'm really concerned with this tide right here. We could see the largest crest of a tide in history. The largest one is back in the blizzard of '78. That's the largest crest we've ever had. We all know what happened back with the blizzard of '78. Now, I'm not saying it's the same result, because a lot of things have changed. For example, dunes have been built up and restored. So there's been big projects over the last 30 years to kind of fortify our coastline. There are a lot of new jetties out there to break these waves as they come closer to the coastline. And our structures, the buildings, the houses, the businesses are more fortified now. Some are stilted up, some have better foundations. So I'm not saying we're gonna have the same results happen in '78, but the tide itself, the level of that tide, could rival that record-breaking one back in 1978, and records have been going since 1912. So this is going to go down in the records as one of the highest tides we've ever seen, and that means, you know, the coastline is going to get battered. We will have flooding along the coast. We will have flooding around the marshes, the salt marshes. We will have roads that go underwater and need to be closed down. There will be some roads that get debris on them, like rocks and sand and seaweed. We may even have some roads that structurally get compromised with pavement getting chewed up and spit out. We may need to even have front end loaders come in and clean up some of those adjacent shore roads and oceanfront roads. And it wouldn't shock me if in some of these locations that there are some suggested evacuations too. That would not surprise me, because this tide is going to be, or has the potential to be, that high. So if you are in those areas and you do get that suggestion, probably best to do it. Here's a quick look at the 7-day before I send you on your way. Obviously, the wind and the rain today, a cold blast this weekend. Christmas Day's high is only 28. The rest of next week looks really quiet. I don't think we see a storm, and there are some signals of a little warm up later next week. Perhaps into New Year's weekend we'll top 40 degrees. So that's all from now from our weather office. We'll pass along more information through social media. We have an hour-long newscast at noon, and then we have our newscasts all evening long at 4, 5, 6, and then again at 11. Have a great holiday. Merry Christmas. Be safe. See ya.